Hello friends, welcome to Drishti YouTube and also welcome to our session on the Economy Simplified, in which we have been discussing many concepts in short, in detail, with questions relevant to the topic to make you understand the topics in a better way. Let's begin the session of today. In this video we shall talk about the concept of demand and supply, a basic concept which is used in our economy to measure inflation, to understand the state of the economy. Let's begin the discussion. You see, what is a demand and what is a supply? A very common word we have heard multiple times in the past. What is a demand? See, demand is actually not just that what you want, but whether you have the purchasing power or not. So it's a kind of a wants of the person and the purchasing power of the person for the same commodity. So suppose you have the wants and the purchasing power, then a demand is measured or say agreed, the demand has come. A person wants something but has no money, the demand is not created. A person has a money but not any desire for the commodity, their demand is also not created. So demand is to be understood that a person's wants and its purchasing power is actually the demand. So what is the supply then? See, supply is about the availability of a given product. Suppose a product is available in the market, you can go and buy, so that's the supply, and supply is a kind of, it has to be a production and say distribution. Suppose a good is produced but not distributed, the supply is not there, and suppose the goods are not produced even, there is no case of having a supply. So both production distribution are to be there to have the supply in the market. Now we have a concept called law of demand, right? See, whenever the price of a commodity, goods or services increase, what you do, or what would a normal person do? When the prices increase, usually the demand falls. Yes or no? Because usually every person will look for a better economic option. So when the prices increase, the demand will fall, and if the prices say decrease, the demand may increase, because you see people tend to buy a lot of commodities in sale because the prices are lower. So price increase leads to fall in demand. This is a law of demand, right? And we have a law of supply as well, which says if the prices increase, the supply increases, because see, when the prices increase, it is seen as a commodity having good margin. So many producers, many suppliers enter the market to supply the commodities. That's why prices increase. You see, whenever we see some things are getting costlier, many people will open the shops and the businesses to make the profits, because they think that see, one thing is that the prices increase, right? So the margin may look better, right? And the demand may be there. So to meet the demand, the supply will increase, because high prices with the demand will lead to more margins, and that's why usually when the prices increase, supply will increase. This is law of supply, and this is a law of demand. Prices increase, lead to fall in demand. But you see, we have normal goods following the law of demand, but we have goods like the Veblen goods and the Giffen goods. They don't follow the law of demand. Let's see what are these goods. See, first of all, let's see the Veblen goods. What we saw in the law of demand, the prices increase, will see the fall in the demand is the law of demand. But this is valid only when the goods you are demanding is of a necessity to you, right? Suppose you are consuming a good for the show off, for the luxury, right? So in that consumption, your concern is the price should not fall, price must increase so that you can show off your wealth. And that's why the Veblen goods are the goods whose, when the prices increase, the demand also increases because people want to show off the wealth that I have bought this costly handbag, costly watch, or costly any other thing, jewelry or etc. So these goods don't follow the law of demand. They don't follow the law of demand because in the Veblen goods, the luxury items, the show-off items, the wealth items, as the prices increase, the demand also increases, right? Now you see one more thing. We have a concept called inferior good. See, inferior goods are the goods which derive a low satisfaction. But since we may not afford good items, we continue consumption of the inferior goods. And whenever we have high incomes, we shift to the other. For example, a poor family consumes rice, right? So for them, rice or say any maize, millets is an inferior good. They may prefer to have say rice or say pulao or say biryani, other meat or say eggs. But in case they have no money to buy the high protein diet, they resort to the staple food or the maize or bajra or the millets, right? They are the inferior goods. But whenever the income increases, whenever they get income, they will shift from the staple food to the high protein food, say other items as I discussed, the high quality food, the biryani or the meat, eggs, etc. So these are the goods that derive low utility, right? But people have low incomes, they continue to consume those goods, right? Now suppose, what are Giffen goods? Giffen goods are the inferior goods having very low or less options. See, what happens is, suppose there is a economic crisis, right? Inflation is there, price of the wheat is increasing, price of the meat is increasing, price of say protein is increasing. Now when the other goods are also getting costlier, right, the poor family will not consume any quantity of the good quality, they will consume more of the inferior goods. Suppose in a normal condition, a family consumes 50% of the income, or say 70% in the staple food and remaining in the good food, right? But when the good food or the high protein diet is getting costlier, they will shift more money in the inferior good. As a result, when the prices increases in the economy, inferior goods are also demanded higher, and such goods are called Giffen goods. They are the inferior goods having low option. As a result, whenever their price also increase, the demand increases because other options are much more costlier. As a result, people fall onto the inferior goods in case of inflation. So both of them, they do not follow the law of the demand, because in both cases, whenever the prices increase, the goods consumption increase. This consumption increases because people consume to show off, and this increases because people have no other option but to fall back onto the inferior goods, right? So this is the idea of the law of demand, demand concept and the supply concept. Let's have a look at some questions. We have a question here coming up. In a microeconomic theory, Veblen goods represent a distinct anomaly to the standard law of demand. Which of the following statements accurately characterizes a Veblen good? You see, what is a Veblen good? So Veblen goods are of high quality, it's not a low quality, right? Its demand increases as its price increase because people perceive higher prices as a symbol of high status and exclusivity. So this is a correct statement in this case, right? And other things are not correct because its demand dropped to zero. See, the demand is always there because people will also see, Veblen goods are for the show off. People will consume no matter what the government does. So this is not correct. It is not a basic necessity, it's a luxury, and that's why in this case the option B is the correct answer. The second question we have, the while both Giffen goods and the Veblen goods exhibit an upward sloping demand curve, read this as the quantity demanded increases when the price increases, right? They are driven by entirely different socio-economic. The question is that both Giffen goods and Veblen goods, they don't follow the law of the demand, but their reasons are different. This is the question. What are the two different reasons for them? You see, Giffen goods are inferior goods, right? They are not tertiary goods. Giffen goods are the inferior goods, but having no options available, that is why people fall back to those items in case of a stress, and that is why even if the price increases, their demand is also increasing. So Giffen goods are not luxury items, right? The upward trend in the Giffen goods is driven by a powerful negative income effect. This looks okay. As in the stress, people tend to fall on those goods because other goods have become much more costlier, and that's why they fall back to the Giffen goods. And the Veblen good is driven by consumer psychology and the status seeking behavior. This is true. Veblen goods are driven by the psychology of, say, having the luxury to show off the wealth, right? This is correct, right? And they both violate the law of demand, not the supply. So friends, the right answer is B. In this case, the B statement defines the real definition of these goods. So this is all about the two items. I hope we are clear on these parts, friends. This is all about the basics of the demand and supply that is required for the UPSC. In the past, the questions have come on these items, right? So in a nutshell, the demand, if the demand, suppose I say, if the demand is much higher than the supply, right, the prices of the commodities increase, and if the demand is much lower than the supply is more, the sellers will be forced to sell the goods on the lower price. So in this case, the prices will fall down. So this is these are the two aspects: increase of demand, then the supply, high prices, increase, fall of demand, then supply, low price. And this is about the demand and supply. So we shall end here this discussion. We shall meet in the other videos. See you there. Thank you.
For more informative content, like, share and subscribe, and do not forget to press the bell icon to get the notifications.